after a slight mathematical error in my favor, I was going to do this originally with an ice bath because I don't have a wort chiller yet. I'm still working on one. I just don't see a purpose in it. The other brew pot that I had fit right in the sink. This is exactly 1 inch wider than my sink. It doesn't go in. So this is going to be my first time ever that this brew pot's actually going to sit overnight, and we're going to let it go that way, just to show that the beer will come out perfect that way. It's better to have a wort chiller because you'll cool your beer down faster. Ice bath works as well too, but the traditional just let it cool down to 80 degrees overnight trick is just going to have to work. We'll have to pick this up tomorrow because it doesn't frickin' fit. The other thing you can do is get a bin that's bigger than this and load it up with ice and pour it in there, and you can also use your wort chiller like I said. You can hook up to your faucet. Water will run through the copper, come out hot, go in cold. Now cool your beer down like 15 to 20 minutes as opposed to 8.5 hours of waiting for the air temperature to take care of it. Yeah, that's hot. This is going to stay hot for the next... We'll just have to wait overnight, that's all. So all you guys out there that don't have a wort chiller, don't sweat it. Hey, we got some brewer yeast here, and we're going to hydrate it in 90-degree water. Just going to pour it in slowly. It'll take about 15 minutes or so, but the yeast cells will absorb the water, become dense, and then sink to the bottom. It's take about 15 minutes to do, so we're going to actually let that sit up. You can actually watch all the clumps start going down as they're hydrating. At this point, you can also add some yeast nutrient, vitamin B6 and vitamin C and stuff like that. If you have yeast nutrient, we're not going to use yeast nutrient because we don't have that much to work on. So it's not a wine. We're actually going to be doing a beer. In about 15 minutes, I can actually give this a stir as well if I wanted to really boost it up. But in about 15 minutes or so, we're going to dump it right into the fermenter. So we'll see it in about 15 minutes. Hey, our temperature is right about 72, right around there. That's a perfect brewing temperature, especially since we're in an ale. We're making an ale, so that's a great temperature for it. Down here, I let it sit in a cool bath overnight because we couldn't do everything yesterday. If you want to skip a day after brewing and you don't want to ferment, you can still do that. It'll just sit in its own filth for a while. But you can see overnight most of the protein is dropped down. We hydrated our yeast, and I threw in a tablespoon of sugar just to get it going. After about 15 minutes or so, if it's still floating, put some sugar on top because that'll push it down, and the yeast will sink down to the bottom and it'll start attacking the sugar, turning it right to alcohol. You can see we got some bubbles already because our yeast is already starting to eat the sugar. I don't promote aquafina, but it's the only water my parents had. I like to chase it down with 12 ounces of water or whatever, or actually 16.9, but that doesn't matter. And a clean funnel, so pour it in. Yeah. Get down there. You'll get a bunch of gunk along the sides, sugar at the bottom. That's why I like to follow it down with some water. This way you get all the yeast down there. Make sure you get around the sides too. Watch anything that's stuck to the side. Yeah, put the whole bottle in there. There, now I put my airlock on. This line right here, I don't know if you can get that on camera, but that line right here, that's where you want your water level to be at. So we gotta put a little bit more water in there. That's too much. Yeah. There we go, perfect. Make sure it's down there nice and tight. And let it work its magic for about 5 days. Keep it above the ground. This way you can siphon. What's it called? Yeah, we got a floater. Check it out. Yeah, there's a yeast cell. See them floating at the top? That's a yeast cell right there. It'll get up to the top. It'll release some of its CO2, and it'll sink right back down again. You can see some of the yeast is moving down there already. You can see some of the proteins moving from just dumping in there. I'm just hoping also there's a lot of bubble at the top. I call it surface tension. If there's a lot of CO2 down there and the bubbles won't break, all those bubbles will start building up and shoot right through your airlock. So a good way to keep that from happening is to get down there with your racking cane, turn it in there, and then break them all down, push those bubbles right back down. yeah, well, that's it. Hey, it's Matt here. We're up in my room currently because this is the safest place to put it in my house because it drops down too much during the night. This is what's called a violent fermentation because this was fermenting at 72 and keeping it overnight with a shirt over to keep UV lights out. It shot up beyond the 78. It's probably like 82 or 84. Up here in the airlock, we're getting like a half-second bubble. Down here also, you can see the foam coming up, and you can see the pieces of the tube flying up, losing their CO2, becoming dense, and thus sinking back down to the bottom. This is probably the most violent and fastest fermentation I've probably ever seen in my history of making wine and beer. This is insane. This is going to be really high alcohol content. I let this go for about 2 weeks to where fermentation just stops. I bet you I can get it up like 8 or 9%, but we're gonna actually rack it in about 5 days, and then add the priming sugar to it, and then bottle it. So hope to God the bottles don't explode or anything like that, or fizz out the top. But this is going to be gnarly. If you see on the side here, you can actually see the pieces coming up right here. That's horrific. You know, that's insane. I don't know what else to say there.